Guys, wait till you see how many books I have for this. Okay, oh my god, I have so many books to show you guys, but let me start with welcome back to Bookmas. First of all, I hope you're enjoying these videos. These are so fun to film, but this one might be my favorite because I have so many books to recommend you guys for the winter season. I think this is gonna be more of a winter book recommendations and not really a holiday book recommendations because I don't really have many holiday books that I've read. I think I only have like 2 specific to like Christmas holiday season, but these are more winter, so you could read these December, January, February, like the winter cozy months. You know, you want to get cozy with a book. I think these are the books that I would want to read during the winter season. Like if I haven't read these yet, I would pick these up during this season. We're gonna get right into it because again, I have so many books to talk about. We're gonna start with a series. This I just feel like is so perfect for the holiday season. I don't know exactly why. I'm not gonna really explain why I think these are perfect for the winter, not the holiday season, the winter season. I don't really have great explanations, but just trust me on these. First is a series I can't stop talking about, the Entangled with Fae series. I only read the second and then third in the series. The first I haven't read, but I heard that it's really good. But this is a princess retelling series. They all kind of connect with each other. The first is The Curse of the Wolf King. I'm pretty sure that is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and then the second one is Heart of the Raven Prince. This is a Cinderella retelling. It was literally one of my 5-star reads. So good. This is like Bridgerton mixed with Cinderella mixed with Fae and fairies. It is literally just like so fun to read. It's a romance. And then the one right after is Kiss of the Selkie. It's a Little Mermaid romance. Also incredible. This is like if The Selection mixed with Princesses and The Little Mermaid mixed with The Bachelor all in one. So good. And then I have the fourth one, which is A Taste of Poison, Snow White retelling. So I'm hopefully gonna get to that this month, but these are so good. Again, these are just like a good mix of different movies and shows and stuff all into one, and you really just get like the magical feel with the romance. It is just such a fun series to read, a fun like storyline to go along with. So if you're looking for a good fantasy series to read, I highly recommend this. And some people I feel like ask what fantasy to read to get into fantasy, because I know some can be really confusing. World building storytelling is kind of hard to get into because it's a whole different, like literally like a different language to learn. These are so easy to get into because it's princess retellings. Most of us know the basis of the princess stories, so they're really easy to understand. Such a fun quick series. Highly recommend. And then I have Icebreaker. This is by Hannah Grace. It's basically a figure skater, hockey player, a little frenemies to lover situation going, but it's done so well. You get a found family in there, you get the sports romance, you get them in their different sports areas. Everything is so good. The found family is my favorite part. Some of his teammates slash roommates are like my favorite characters of all time. They're so good. An easy romance to get through, plus it's figure skating, hockey, like that kind of cold setting, but it's also them in school, so you get like school. I just feel like it's really good for the winter. Really good romance too. Highly recommend this one. Okay, and then if you need a good cry this winter season, I highly recommend If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. I read this in my sad books video and I bawled my eyes out. I have thought about this book every day since. Seriously, there's not a day that goes by that I haven't thought about this book. It's a young adult kind of romance sad book, so it's very easy to get through, easy to read. It's a quick read. It's definitely character driven, but it's basically about this girl who is childhood best friends with this kid named Finn, and you basically get from the start of the book, you know at the end of the book something happens. There is a car accident between Finn and another girl, and basically you get the story leading up to there. They are childhood best friends, and then they kind of grow apart when they grow up, go to school a little bit. They have different friend groups. You get them kind of not really talking to each other, but they definitely see each other because their moms are best friends, they're next door neighbors, so they're kind of forced to see each other, but it's very awkward. They're not really friends anymore, but they're like kind of like that soulmate connection from when they were children. They were really connected, so you get like that second chance kind of thing. It's so good. I love the way this was told. It's such an easy read, but the end will break your heart, so don't read this if you don't want to cry. If you need a good cry, then I highly recommend this one. Okay, so a holiday book that I have is The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. This is taken place during the Christmas time. This is one of the only holiday books that I have, but this was really good. It's definitely a cheesy romance, but if you want like a cute little rom-com-y type of romance, this one's really good. It's basically about twins who switch lives. I think one of them gets sick and she's kind of part of a Food Network type of baking thing on air, and she needs to do it, so she gets her sister to take her place, and the other sister comes home and she works at a bakery, so she has like that small town. So you get the small town, you get like the celebrity sister, and they switch places. They find romantic connections, but they're playing as if it was their sister, so they're pretending to be different people, and you get that kind of swap. They have to figure out how to tell them the truth about who they are. It's really cute. It's really fun to read. A really good holiday read if you're looking for one. This is kind of like an author recommendation, but you guys knew this was coming. I have an Alice Feeney collection right here. I don't have Daisy Darker. My friend is borrowing that, and then I just got the 5th book of hers. If you're looking for a mystery thriller author just to keep you on your toes, get a really quick read, just get cozy with the book this winter season and just binge some really good thrillers, highly recommend Alice Feeney. You guys know how much I love her. You know how much I love her books. They have all gotten me. They are so good. They're quick to read. This one's about a couple who wins a little getaway in like a snowy chapel, I think it is. But the husband has facial blindness. He can't recognize faces. And there's secrets and stuff like that. And it's really, really good. The ending just completely shook me. And then I have Sometimes I Lie. This is about a woman who was in a car accident and she wakes up underneath like a blanket and she can't move or speak or anything. She can only hear, and then she hears everything around her, and then you get all the events leading up to what happened because she forgot what happened. And then His and Hers. This is about his point of view and then her point of view, and then someone has died, has been murdered, and he is on the case. She is like the newscaster for the case, so they're both kind of tangled in the case as well. There's like stuff from their past that comes up. Really interesting the way this all connects and like all the characters kind of intertwine with each other. She does a really good way of making you think that it's everyone else but who did it or about what happened. Like you think so many different endings could happen, and it's just not what it is. Anything else, Phoebe? Highly recommend. Okay, and then I have just a literary fiction book, My Year of Rest and Relaxation. I thought this was good because this is about a girl who lives off of her dead parents' money, living in New York the year 2000, so it's taking place in like that era. She kind of just wants to go to sleep for a year, and she does that in a very horrible way. She just goes to a really bad psychiatrist and just gets all these pills prescribed her, and she kind of just like slowly goes through her days leading up to trying to sleep through the year. And then you get her friend that is very envious of her, and then you get a toxic ex-boyfriend situation, and it's basically all of her days are kind of muddled together, and it's really interesting to read. It just really like flows throughout the whole thing, and I really enjoyed this, and it's just like her trying to sleep for a year. But I don't know, I think this is good to read in the winter time. Highly recommend. I also like the 2000 setting. It's definitely in that era, and it just like, I don't know, I like reading during that time and in the city kind of setting. I love it. Okay, and then I have Tell Me Lies by Karula Lovering. Just recently read this. This is a toxic romance fiction, kind of a little bit of a plot twist in it too, but if you don't like toxic relationships and just like toxic manipulative boys and just like everything like that, don't read this. But if you want an entertaining story and you are okay with reading about a guy that just like is very narcissistic, doesn't care about anyone else's feelings and their point of views, then definitely read this. It's about Lucy. She goes away to college. She's a freshman. She meets Steven, who's a junior, and he just like, he knows that Lucy will always come back to him, so he kind of just like plays with her mind, and like it's really not a good relationship, but you get that, and you get all their years through college and stuff, and you get that point of view. But then you also get present time, which is later in the years. They're older. One of their college friends is getting married, and she sees Steven for the first time again in so many years. It's an interesting story. It's very entertaining. I enjoyed it, but like not a lot of people like it because it's very toxic. It's not a lovey-dovey romance where the male love interest is like a perfect book boyfriend and it's a happily ever after story. It's not what you're gonna get. It's complete opposite, but it's very, very good. So if you're looking for something like that. Okay, and then I've recommended this book actually, I feel like in a few book recommendation videos, but I feel like this is also a really good winter book read. This is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. It's taking place at a boarding school. It's like they're 18, I believe they're seniors in the boarding school. Don't quote me on that, but I absolutely loved this book. I was very iffy at first because the beginning of it, I didn't love Crew, who is the male love interest, and then you have Ren. She's very innocent. She has not really been with boys, and then Crew just kind of is really intrigued by her, really interested in her. He's like liked her or like has found her attractive for a long time, so he tries to talk to her, get her to go on dates with him, and she ends up agreeing. And I love how their romance kind of plays out throughout the book. It's definitely a thicker one, but the words are pretty big and like the paragraphs are spaced out, so I read this really quick. I loved this. I didn't like the beginning, like I said, but it gets so much better. I ended up absolutely loving them. Crew is incredible. I really love their names too, Crew and Ren. I think it's so cute. But yeah, it's kind of like a rich family dynamic too, because they're at the boarding school. It's also, I'm pretty sure they go away in the winter time, so I think it's like a really good setting to read during this winter, and I absolutely love the cover. So good. And then I have another holiday romance. This is One Day in December by Josie Silver. I read this a while ago. I actually kind of forgot that I read this, but it's really cute. I'm pretty sure she sees this guy through the bus window, and it's like love at first sight, and she spends a year trying to find out who this bus mystery man is because they lock eyes, and she like feels this connection. And then her roommate one day comes home with them, and it's her new boyfriend. So it's very interesting. It's really cute. I really liked the way the story was told. I think it's dual point of view. yeah, it's dual point of view. I really enjoyed this. I think this is a really cute romance if you want to read this before the holidays, because it obviously takes place in December. Okay, getting into the series that I have, I think if you haven't read the series yet, definitely a good series to start binging in the winter months, because that's when I started the series. So I feel like my just like connotation with the series is December and the winter, and then going through January too. I didn't finish it, but I recommend starting it if you have thought about doing it. This is your sign to. This is the Addicted series. Literally such a good series. I think I just stopped reading it because I have 2 books left, and it's not like I have to finish them. Everything is kind of formed, and all the relationships are kind of secure at this point, so it's really just like about the family and what's going on between that. So I kind of could just pick it up when I want to, so I haven't yet. Basically, the Addicted series is about Lily and Lo. They are both addicts. Lily is addicted to sex and Lo is addicted to alcohol. They enable each other. They are family friends and they are childhood friends, so they kind of fake date in front of the family. They do that so that they can enable each other, kind of help each other continue their addictions, which is just completely not good. But then things unravel from there, and you see them battling their addictions but also trying to figure out their connection, and it's really like really good. So that is this series, and then in between some of these is the Calloway Sisters spinoff, which I don't have holding with me right now, but I have in my bookshelves, and it's about Lily's sisters and their love interests, which is really fun because all of them connect. All the characters are in each book. They feel like real people, real families. It's so good. So I highly recommend, if you have not read the series yet and you're like waiting to start it and you're waiting for a sign to start it, this is it, because it's so good. The first like 5 books were like my favorite books of all time. And when you get to Rose's story in the Calloway Sisters, she is my favorite. Her and her love interests are literally like my parents. Like, I love them. And then the next series that I have, I only have one in my hand. I didn't feel like taking the other 2 out, but this is the Inheritance Games series. This I recently read as well, and it was just such a really fun, fast series to get through. It also has romance, it's like mystery, it's adventure. It is so good. It's about this girl, Avery, who inherits this random old man's will. Not his will, money from his will, like basically all of it, and he left the family with like nothing. And he also left some riddles throughout the house, the Hawthorne house, and all of the grandsons are involved in it in some way. There's so much mystery, and there's romance between the brothers and Avery, and it's so good. It's just so quick. If you need a quick series to just like completely sit and binge, I highly recommend this one. If you want one that's like fun, little subplots of romance, highly recommend. I'm very late to this game. Sure, a lot of you have already read this, but if you haven't yet, I do highly recommend. It's so quick, it's so fun. There's 3 of them. The Inheritance Games, the Hawthorne Legacy, and then the Final Gambit just came out this year actually. And it's so fun. It's so fun, it's so good. This is the second one though, but highly recommend. Darling Venom. I've talked about this in so many videos. I think I put this in every recommendation video because I want everyone to read it. So if you haven't read it yet and you've heard me talk about it, please read it. It is so good. Technically, it takes place the beginnings kind of in February, but like winter-ish. Please read it. It's basically about this girl and this guy. They both meet at the top of, I think it's the school. And they plan every year to meet up there because they're both there for the same reason. And they both go to the same high school, but they don't talk during the year. So they meet there every single year. And you get like, I think 3 years. And they say, okay, when we graduate high school, like we'll stop doing this just to check up on each other. But then something happens to Kellen, which is the guy that she meets up on the roof. You get flash forward years later. She's older. She has a job. And she meets Kellen's brother, who is a doctor. He's older. And she remembers him and she does not like him, hates him, and then he hates her for whatever reason. It's definitely an enemy situation. It's definitely a slower burn of a romance too between them, but you get enemies to lovers between them, but you also get them kind of not reminiscing on Kellen, but like talking about Kellen. It is so good, and if you haven't read it, please read it. It's literally one of my all-time favorite books. It's a romance, but it also gets, it's like, it's more than just a romance, okay? You get like that love story, but you also get her just like thinking about what could have happened to her and just like life. Please read it if you haven't yet and you want a really good romance. And then the last one I have, but this is a series as well, the ACOTAR series. My TBR cart right now, I have no idea why, but if you haven't read the ACOTAR series yet, this lighting is like really bothering me. If you haven't read the ACOTAR series yet, I think the winter is a really good time to start. I feel like a fantasy read in the winter is just so fun, just like staying in your bed and reading a fantasy and like getting into that world. I think the ACOTAR series and like that world is a really good one to start reading and get into. I only read the first 3. I guess I'll just tell you what the first one, the ACOTAR, is about. It's about Feyre, who is a mortal in the mortal world, and then you also have the Fae in the fairy world across a border, and she basically kills this wolf, and she doesn't realize that the wolf is one of the Fae, and then they come for her, and then they say, we could either kill you now, or we're going to take you back to our world. She goes there, and there's love interests in it. It's really good. If you continue the series after the first one, there's an amazing found family. The world is so fun. The characters are so fun. It's just so good, and you really immerse yourself in the series, and I absolutely loved it. So, highly recommend. Those are all of the books that I recommend you guys trying out this winter. I know that was a lot. I know I spoke a lot. I know there's a lot of recommendations. I hope you at least took one book from this video. That's the least that I could hope. The most that I could hope for. Not sure. Let me know if you're gonna read any of the books I recommended. Let me know your opinions on them if you read them, because I love hearing your guys' opinion on books that I recommend. That's all for me. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Bookmas. Let me know if you did enjoy this video, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow for the next video. Goodbye!